Chapter 792. 792 Chapter 792 Title Killing Intent. A single token? No, I'll make your friends suffer a fate worse than death. Wang Haotian's eyes glinted coldly. Lu Ming, don't worry about me. My junior sister is dead and my cultivation has been crippled. I'm already a cripple. Don't worry about me. Jian Filiu shouted. Shut up. Wang Kong grabbed Jian Filiu's shoulder with his claw. A cracking sound came from Jian Filiu's shoulder as the bone armor was broken. However, Jian Filiu just gritted his teeth and didn't make a sound. Damn it, this group of scum, damn it. At the entrance of the cave, Kong Jin roared. Giggle. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. A wave of anger rushed to his mind and his eyes flashed with killing intent. Kong Jin was right. These people deserved to die. He could not wait to go out and kill them. But now he had to endure it. He had the injured Xian Yanqing and Ruan Tingting behind him. If he acted rashly, he would only end up killing everyone. When Luan Feng Yun had first arrived, he had said that Di Tian's imperial guards would come here a day later. Perhaps, once they arrived, things would take a turn for the better. Just now, Luan Feng Yun had not sent a voice transmission. Perhaps he had been too confident and felt that there was no need to hide anything. With him around, he could take Ruan Tingting away without even needing a day. However, Lu Ming had to think of a way to stall for one day. Lu Ming, I'll ask you again. Are you going to change or not? Wang Haoyan said. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly, his eyes extremely cold. His voice was icy cold. Wang Haoyan, Wang Kong, if you dare to use Jian Filiu again, I will kill you. You dare to threaten me? Wang Haoyan's face turned cold. He suddenly turned around and pointed his finger. A stream of energy shot out and pierced a big hole in Jian Filiu's shoulder. Blood stained Jian Filiu's clothes. Boom! Lu Ming's body exploded with a violent aura and cold killing intent. No one noticed that Lu Ming's footsteps were moving slowly. With every step he took, an inscription would sink into the ground. You want to use me to threaten Lu Ming? In your dreams! In your dreams! At this moment, Jian Filiu suddenly roared. A faint red light spread out from his spine. Not good. Wang Kong's expression changed. Don't! Lu Ming roared. Bang! At this moment, Jian Filiu's spine suddenly exploded, and blood splattered everywhere. Jian Filiu had performed some kind of secret skill to self-destruct his bloodline power. This move was also beyond Wang Haoyan and Wang Kong's expectations. The self-destruction of one's bloodline power was equivalent to losing one's life. Jian Filiu spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Lu Ming and said, Brother Lu, it's my honor to be friends with you. However, my junior sister is dead and my cultivation has been destroyed. There's no point in me staying in this world. It's a pity that I won't be able to see the day when Brother Lu rules the world. As he spoke, Jian Filiu's vitality became weaker and weaker, and he slowly closed his eyes. Then, his life force was exterminated. Jian Filiu, the proud son of heaven who had once dominated Golden Sand Island under the name of King of Hell and fought with Lu Ming, had fallen. Although he had not known Lu Ming for a long time, Jian Filiu was a man of true character and treated people with sincerity. Lu Ming had already treated him as a good friend. Now, in order not to threaten Lu Ming, Jian Filiu had self-destructed his blood meridian and died. Lu Ming's aura burst out violently, and his killing intent seemed to materialize. Brother Jian, don't worry. I'll definitely send Wang Haoyan and Wang Kong down to accompany you. I'll also send the rest of the Wang family down to hell sooner or later. He stared at Wang Haoyan and Wang Kong with cold and emotionless eyes. For some reason, Wang Haoyan and Wang Kong felt a chill in their hearts when they saw Lu Ming's eyes. It was as if the god of death was staring at them. Trash. Wang Kong took a deep breath and threw Jian Filiu's body on the ground. Hee hee, Wang Haoyan, it looks like you've lost your bargaining chip. How about this? Let's attack together, kill these guys, and take that woman. Luan Feng Yun said with a cold smile. I alone am enough to kill them. Wang Haotian said coldly, his eyes full of killing intent. Boom! Then he stepped forward. He had to kill Lu Ming today. He had a bad feeling. It was as if he would die in Lu Ming's hands sooner or later if Lu Ming did not die. This feeling was very unpleasant. Purple flames burst out of Wang Haotian's body. The terrifying heat exploded and the air within a radius of dozens of meters was instantly burned up, turning into a vacuum. A long spear made of flames appeared in Wang Haotian's hand. It turned into a ray of light and shot toward Lu Ming. The scorching flame was still dozens of meters away from Lu Ming, as if it was going to set his clothes and hair on fire. Kill! Lu Ming took a step forward. The true element in his entire body burst forth. At the same time, four types of intent surrounded him as he struck out with his palm. Thump! The blazing flames spread in all directions, and the earth rumbled and cracked. Lu Ming's figure retreated continuously. With every step he took, runes would flash and sink into the ground when his feet stepped on the ground. Hu! Lu Ming heaved a heavy sigh of relief, suppressing the surging qi and blood in his body. He felt a sharp pain in his palm. His palm had turned black from the scorching flames. Wang Haotian's combat strength was terrifying. Wang Haotian was also at the peak 4th level of the spiritual ocean tier. He had cultivated the sky-burning flames to an extremely deep level. Whoosh! Wang Haotian pushed Lu Ming back with one strike. He waved the flame spear and continued to attack Lu Ming. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming stomped on the ground and his figure moved to the side rapidly. Do you think it's that easy to leave? Two suns appeared in Wang Haotian's eyes as he continued to attack Lu Ming. Thump! Lu Ming struck out with his palm again, clashing with Wang Haotian. With a boom, he was pushed back a dozen more steps, blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. Lu Ming is so powerful. He took 2 moves from Wang Haotian in a row. Many people in the surroundings were shocked. Wang Haotian was a quasi-god level prodigy. He had unparalleled combat strength and could kill anyone with a higher cultivation level than him in seconds. However, Lu Ming's cultivation level was 2 levels lower than his, yet he was able to withstand a few moves. It was terrifying. On the side, Luan Fengyun's eyes flickered, and he was also extremely surprised. Wang Haotian was shocked as well. This person must die. Otherwise, I might really be the one to die in the future. Wang Haotian roared in his heart. His killing intent grew stronger. Flames appeared above his head. His bloodline erupted and his power grew. The flame spear turned into a terrifying killing weapon, burning the void and heading for Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Buzz! Inscriptions started to flash on his body. There were runes that could burst out with true essence, runes that could increase one's speed, runes that could increase one's defense. In an instant, Lu Ming inscribed 8 inscription arrays for himself. An inscription master. Wang Haotian's eyes were filled with shock. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and took a step forward. In an instant, the ground glowed brightly and countless beautiful inscriptions appeared, forming a large inscription formation. Chapter 793. 793 There's still a chance. The inscription formation appeared. 2 swords formed and slashed at Wang Haotian. At the same time, Lu Ming pounced on Wang Haotian. A terrifying devouring power erupted from his left palm and enveloped Wang Haotian. His right palm activated the destructive prison heaven art and struck out. With the addition of 8 inscription arrays, Lu Ming's combat strength had increased greatly. Wang Haotian's eyes were filled with shock. With a long howl, the spear's radiance turned into an illusion and shattered the 2 combat swords. Then he stabbed at Lu Ming. Thump! This time, the collision was even more shocking than the previous one. Wang Haotian was forced to retreat. Yes, this time, it was Wang Haotian who retreated. Gasps could be heard from all around. Lu Ming had actually repelled Wang Haotian. It was unbelievable. Wang Haotian took 6 steps back and stood still. He was in disbelief and roared, "You, when did you inscribe the inscription formation?" He had never expected that not only was Lu Ming's martial arts cultivation extremely high, but his inscription Dao was also so terrifying. Kill. Lu Ming's cold killing intent was the only response he got. He continued to step forward. Runes appeared on the ground and condensed into a combat sword, which was aimed at Wang Haotian. At the same time, he charged toward Wang Haotian. Wang Haotian roared and almost turned into a man on fire. His spear was thrown forward and collided with Lu Ming's. But the result was that Wang Haotian kept retreating. Lu Ming cast 8 formations on himself. At the same time, he used the inscription formation and the devouring power of the 9 dragons' bloodline. He had completely suppressed Wang Haotian. Not far away, Luan Fenyun's expression was extremely unsightly. Just now, he was still high and mighty, thinking that he could suppress Lu Ming at any time and take Ruan Tingting away. Now, the truth told him that he was ridiculously wrong. Wang Haotian's combat ability was definitely not weaker than his. If Wang Haotian was suppressed, did that mean that he would be suppressed as well? This was hard for him to accept. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming stomped on the ground and a formation appeared. 8 swords were formed and they slashed at Wang Haotian. At the same time, he attacked Wang Haotian with all his might. Wang Haotian was in danger. Ah! Wang Haotian let out a long roar. The long spear pierced through the sky. He turned into a beam of light and shot up into the sky, breaking through the attack of the inscription formation and rushing into the sky. Wang Haotian retreated in defeat. He rushed into the air to avoid Lu Ming's attack. Lu Ming could not inscribe inscription arrays in the void yet. Damn it! Wang Haotian's eyes were filled with killing intent. He could not wait to crush Lu Ming's bones and scatter his ashes. He was actually forced to retreat by Lu Ming and could only run for his life. Under the watchful eyes of the public, this was simply a great humiliation. The key was that Lu Ming's martial arts cultivation was 2 levels lower than his. Wang Haotian rushed into the sky, but Lu Ming had no intention of stopping. He suddenly changed direction and stomped on the ground. Runes appeared and condensed into a long spear, which shot toward Wang Kong like lightning. At the same time, Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared in front of Wang Kong in an instant. He struck out with his palm. What? Wang Kong was shocked. Everything had happened too quickly. Wang Haotian fled while Lu Ming turned around to attack him. He did not expect this to happen so quickly. He roared in fear and used all his strength to resist. Bang! The long spear condensed by the formation was sent flying by Wang Kong. However, in the next moment, Lu Ming arrived. The terrifying devouring power enveloped Wang Kong, causing his blood flow to be disrupted and his combat strength to be weakened. At the same time, Lu Ming's palm was coming for him. Bang! All of Wang Kong's defenses were shattered by Lu Ming's palm. Lu Ming's palm landed heavily on Wang Kong's chest. Wang Kong's eyes popped out of their sockets. His eyes were filled with disbelief and unwillingness. No! A shrill scream came out of Wang Kong's mouth, and the next moment, his body was torn into pieces. Lu Ming took another step and his essential core rolled up, wrapping around Jian Filiu's body. In a flash, he appeared at the entrance of the cave. All of this happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint. It was too fast. Wang Haotian fled and rushed into the sky. Lu Ming changed his direction and charged toward Wang Kong. He took Jian Filiu and appeared at the entrance of the cave. Everything happened in the span of 1 or 2 breaths. Many people didn't even have time to react. When Lu Ming appeared at the entrance of the cave, the crowd finally reacted and gasped. Wang Kong had been killed. He had been killed instantly. Was this Lu Ming's combat strength? It was too terrifying to use all of his combat strength. A heaven's favorite like Wang Kong was completely unable to resist. This kid isn't completely dead yet. Dandan, who was on Lu Ming's shoulder, suddenly spoke. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. His eyes were shining as he said, "Dandan, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by not completely dead?" On the surface, this brat looks like he's dead. In fact, he still has a chance of survival. His cultivation was crippled and he used a method to self-destruct his bloodline power. However, he still doesn't have cultivation and can't fully control his bloodline power. Therefore, he still has some chance of survival. As long as his bloodline power is restored, maybe he can be revived? Dandan explained. Really? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. That's right. Now I'll inscribe an inscription formation to lock this kid's chance of survival. The rest will be up to you. After saying that, he flew into the cave with his sword and began to inscribe the formation. When he spoke to Dandan, it was all through voice transmission, so the others did not hear it. Damn it, Lu Ming. How dare you kill the Wang family's prodigy? You're dead. Wang Haotian roared in the sky. If you have the ability, come down and fight me. Lu Ming glanced at Wang Haotian with disdain. Phew. Wang Haotian's face turned pale, then ashen. He didn't dare to go down. Wang Haotian, let's work together. It's more important to get Supremacy Longines' inheritance. In less than a day, the Detian Royal Guards will be here. Wan Fengyun said. All right, let's join forces. Wang Haotian nodded. Everyone, attack together and kill this man. Wan Fengyun waved his hand. Let's attack together. Jiang Taiyu also roared. At this moment, Lu Ming's hands moved rapidly and countless inscriptions sank into the ground. Attack, don't give him time to inscribe inscriptions and erase. Wang Haotian roared and took the lead to attack Lu Ming. At the same time, Wan Fengyun moved as well. A large bow appeared in his hands. He drew the bow and knocked an arrow, which he shot at Lu Ming. The arrow was like a stream of light, piercing through the void and making a terrifying sonic boom. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming stomped on the ground and arrays appeared one after another. There were offensive and defensive arrays. A few ancient shields appeared in front of Lu Ming, but they were easily pierced through and shot straight at the area between Lu Ming's eyebrows. The infinite dragon spear appeared and stabbed forward, colliding with the arrow. Lu Ming felt his arm go numb and he took 3 steps back. The attack power of chaotic wind cloud's arrows was too strong. At the same time, Wang Haotian arrived. Lu Ming kicked out and activated the prison-suppressing heaven technique, exchanging blows with Wang Haotian. Chapter 794. 794 Fighting the 8 Great Heavens Favorites. Having just blocked Wan Fengyun's arrow, Lu Ming could not use his full strength. This move could only tie with Wang Haotian. The two of them trembled and took a step back. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, Wan Fengyun's arrows arrived again. This time, he shot out 7 arrows in a row, and the power was terrifying. At the same time, Jiang Taiyu, Luan Tianhao, and the others had also arrived. The Jiang family, the Luan family, and Wang Haotian, a total of 8 geniuses, plus a dozen 5th-level spiritual ocean tier experts all charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, let me help you. Kong Jin roared. Fatty, guard the entrance of the cave, don't come out. Lu Ming roared. The cave was filled with injured people. If the fatty came out and the others entered, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ah! Fatty roared. His heart was filled with anger, but he also understood that he could only wait. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hand and a few huge creatures appeared in front of him. There were 2 giant snake puppets and a cheetah puppet. The 3 puppets were all equivalent to the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier. In the underground world, after annihilating the Een snake tribe, they had seized a large number of puppets. Lu Ming asked Qi Jin Kong for some puppets to bring along in case he needed them. He could finally use it now. The 2 giant snake puppets charged at Jiang Taiyu and the others fearlessly. Puppets were impervious to weapons and possessed immense strength. They were the best defensive tools. The cheetah puppet, on the other hand, soared into the sky and charged towards the arrows shot out by Luan Fengyun. Thump, thump. A series of explosions rang out. It was equivalent to the cheetah puppet at the 4th level of the spiritual ocean tier being hit by 7 arrows, and it exploded. This was also the reason why Lu Ming's mental energy fire was so huge. An ordinary inscriber would have to use almost all of their strength to control a puppet of the same level, But Lu Ming was perfect at every stage and had lit 10 mental energy lamps. How vast was his mental energy fire? Not only could he control puppets above his level, but he could also control several at the same time. Bang! Lu Ming, on the other hand, exerted all his strength and sent Wang Haoyin flying with a single palm. Taking this opportunity, Lu Ming's hands danced wildly once again, and inscriptions were buried into the ground. Kill! High in the sky, Luan Fengyun bellowed, his killing intent surging like a tide as arrows rained down. Lu Ming waved his hand and another puppet appeared. It flew into the sky and exploded under the arrows. He, on the other hand, made the best use of his time to inscribe inscriptions. On the other side, the two giant snake puppets exploded under the attacks of Jiang Taiyu and the rest. However, Lu Ming waved his hand and a few more puppets appeared, charging towards Jiang Taiyu and the rest. At this moment, Wang Haoyin arrived. The more they fought, the more shocked Wang Haoyin was. His desire to kill Lu Ming grew stronger. Lu Ming had no choice but to stop inscribing inscriptions and fight with Wang Haoyin. The true essence explosion inscription he had inscribed on his body couldn't last for long. If the effect of the inscription array wore off, he would be even more passive. Whoosh! Whoosh! Another arrow was shot down from the sky. This time, the arrow curved and dodged the puppet, aiming for Lu Ming. You want to stop me with a mere puppet? In your dreams! Luan Fengyun's eyes were like lightning. Lu Ming used all his strength, but the combination of Luan Fengyun and Wang Haoyin was too powerful. Lu Ming was forced to retreat. What he feared the most were Luan Fengyun's arrows. They were impossible to guard against and had terrifying offensive power. They could take lives from 100 miles away. If it had only been Luan Fengyun, he would naturally have been able to avoid him, draw closer to him, and defeat him. However, there was another Wang Haoyin. In Lu Ming's current state, even with the help of the inscription formation, he could barely suppress Wang Haoyin. He could not completely suppress Wang Haoyin and was in a passive position. Lu Ming, let me help you. Kong Jin bellowed. He stood at the entrance of the cave and the battle axe in his hand flew out. It danced in the air and helped Lu Ming block Luan Fengyun's arrows. Clang! Clang! The battle axe blocked a few arrows from Luan Fengyun and flew back. Then, Fatty threw the battle axe again. This time, it was aimed at Wang Haoyin. Wang Haoyin's punch sent the axe flying. Buzz! At this time, a powerful force field covered a radius of several hundred meters. Xian Yanqing was also standing at the entrance of the cave, behind Fatty. Although Xian Yanqing's face was still a little pale, his injuries had basically stabilized. Destruction cut. In Xian Yanqing's Sky Demon force field, Luan Fengyun's arrows were blocked by layers of obstacles. Their power was greatly reduced, and it was much easier to defend. Jiang Taiyu and the rest were also suppressed by the demonic force field. Lu Ming's pressure was reduced. Lu Ming, I'm here to help you. Dandan flew out and stood on Lu Ming's shoulder. How is it, Brother Jian? Lu Ming asked. I've temporarily sealed their vitality with an inscription formation. The rest is up to you. Dandan said. After saying that, Dandan retracted her limbs into the turtle shell and flew forward. An arrow hit Dandan's turtle shell and sparks flew, but the arrow was also knocked off course by Dandan. Dandan flew back to Lu Ming's shoulder and shouted, You want to shoot through this lord's invincible defense? Little brat, you're still 108,000 miles away. The killing intent in Luan Fengyun's eyes intensified. He shot out 9 arrows one after another, one after the other. They connected and formed a straight line, instantly crossing thousands of meters in the air. They pierced through the obstruction of the demonic energy field and headed toward Lu Ming. Watch me. Dandan flew out and used the turtle shell to block the arrow. Clang! Dandan was shot away, but the continuous arrows were deflected. With a scream, a youth at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm from the Wan family was shot through by an arrow and died on the spot. Like I said, you're far from being able to break my defense, little kid. Dandan shouted. Lu Ming exchanged a blow with Wang Haoyan and continued to inscribe inscriptions. At this moment, Jiang Taiyu and the others had already rushed over. Lu Ming had already lost more than 10 powerful puppets. Now, Lu Ming no longer had any puppets. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming took a few steps forward and a formation appeared. It formed sabers, giant swords, long spears, and so on, attacking Jiang Taiyu and the others. Lu Ming continued to inscribe the array. Just like that, Lu Ming, Fatty, and Xian Yanqing worked together to carve inscriptions as they fought. It lasted for more than 10 minutes. It's done. Lu Ming waved his hands and the last inscriptions sank into the ground. Lu Ming was elated. Bang! As Lu Ming took a heavy step, dense inscriptions appeared on the ground. Then, a light curtain rose and enveloped Lu Ming and the others. In the light curtain, endless sword qi condensed and attacked Jiang Taiyu and the others. Not good. This is a peak grade level 6 killing array. Jiang Taiyu and the others roared in horror and retreated frantically. Whoosh! Whoosh! Within the formation, sword qi crisscrossed, and in an instant, a few 5th level spiritual ocean tier youths were killed. Jiang Tu, Luan Tianhao, and the others desperately rushed out of the area covered by the formation. In the sky, chaotic wind and cloud shot out arrows continuously, but they were all destroyed by the dense sword qi in the formation. It was a top-tier level 6 formation, the Sword Howling Thunder formation. In terms of combat power, they were no match for Luan Fengyun and Wang Haoyan. They could only rush out first, improve their cultivation, and then kill them in the future. Buzz. And NBSP, whoosh. At this moment, a loud sound of something breaking through the air could be heard from afar. It was extremely fast, and by the time everyone heard it, more than a dozen figures had already appeared in the sky. These people were all young people. Each of them was wearing armor and a helmet, and their eyes were as sharp as knives. The one standing at the front was a young man with a fierce gaze, like a wild beast. Di Tian's Imperial Guard, Long Qianli. Luan Fengyun couldn't help but cry out in alarm. The others, such as Wang Haoyan and Jiang Taiyu, also exclaimed in shock. The surrounding spectators were even more shocked. They were not only shocked by the Di Tian Divine Guards, but also by the young man, Long Qianli. Long Qianli was ranked in the top 300 on the list of top 1,000 talents. He was a true god-level talent who had awakened a god-level bloodline. Guanfeng, how dare you? Supremacy Longjin was the commander of Emperor Heaven's Imperial Guards back then. You want to take his successor? Long Qianli's eyes swept over Luan Fengyun and the others. Long Qianli, Blue Gold Knight, has been dead for a long time. His inheritance has no owner. Why can't we take it? Luan Fengyun said. Now that I've arrived, you can get lost. Venerable Longjin's inheritor, we're going to bring back Di Tian's Imperial Guards and train them to become Venerable Longjin's true inheritor. Long Qianli said coldly. He was not polite at all, not giving any face to Luan Fengyun and the others. The main forces of the Empyrean Divine Palace were divided into 3 major groups. The first group was the Empyrean Heavenly Imperial Guards, which were the direct guards of De and Martial Emperor. They were extremely powerful. One was the 6 great ancient families. There were also the sub-palaces in the various large regions. In fact, these 3 forces all obeyed Martial Emperor De and fought for him. However, they were not harmonious with each other. The majority of the Emperor Heaven Imperial Guards didn't come from noble backgrounds. Very few of them were descendants of the 6 great ancient clans. The majority of them were geniuses like Yen Kuangtu, who came from small powers. They would continuously take in geniuses and nurture them to become the pillars of Di Tian's Imperial Guards. Back then, the 9 Sons Supreme had been one of the supreme commanders of the Di Tian Royal Guards. Now, Yen Kuangtu was also one of the supreme commanders. Therefore, the geniuses of the Imperial Sky Guards had never had a harmonious relationship with the geniuses of the 6 great ancient clans, and competition between them was common. After being berated by Long Qianli, Luan Fengyun's expression turned ugly. Long Qianli, Don't you go too far. Wan Fengyun sternly said. I'm bullying you, what can you do? Do you want to fight me? The ferocity in Long Qianli's eyes became even more intense, as if he was a ferocious beast that was about to attack. Today, besides me, Heavenly Brother Wang Hao and the other elites of the Jiang family are here too. We're not afraid of you. Wan Fengyun said coldly, a powerful aura exuding from his body. Wang Haotian appeared next to Wan Fengyun, and his aura began to emanate from his body. Hee, looks like you all want to experience the power of a divine rank bloodline. Long Qianli's face turned even more ferocious and he sneered. Roar! All of a sudden, a dragon's roar resounded through the heavens and earth. A flood dragon rushed out from Long Qianli's body. The flood dragon was pitch black all over, and the most shocking thing was that it actually had 3 heads. This was a ferocious beast of the legends, the 3-headed demon flood dragon. It was incomparably powerful. It was said that the 3-headed demon flood dragon could even compete with some weaker true dragons. One could imagine how terrifying it was. On the 3-headed demon snake's body, a golden chakra attracted everyone's attention. The golden chakra was a god-level bloodline. A golden chakra was equivalent to a rank 1 divine bloodline. Chapter 796. 796 Leaving the 100 Venerated Mountains. A 9th-level king bloodline seemed to be only 1 level away from a 1st-level divine bloodline, but in essence, they were worlds apart. There was no way to compare them. Those who had not awakened a divine bloodline would have limited future achievements. Only those who had awakened a divine bloodline could be considered a divine-level prodigy, and their future achievements would be limitless. The top 300 on the list of top 1,000 talents were all geniuses who had awakened divine bloodlines. Is this a divine bloodline? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with anticipation. At this moment, Long Qianli's body seemed to have turned into a ray of light and rushed into his blood. Kill! The 3-headed demon flood dragon actually opened its mouth, and its voice was exactly the same as Long Qianli's. It was as if the 3-headed demon flood dragon had come to life and had transformed into a real 3-headed demon flood dragon. Bloodline fusion. It was said that those who had awakened a divine bloodline could perform bloodline fusion. Their bodies would merge with the bloodline and transform into the form of the bloodline, erupting with terrifying combat power. The 3-headed demon flood dragon's massive claws swiped toward Wan Fengyun and the others. Let's join hands, let's join hands. Wan Fengyun roared. His eyes were filled with shock as a powerful aura burst forth from his body. He drew his bow and instantly shot out 9 arrows. They formed a line and shot towards the 3-headed demon flood dragon. At the same time, Wang Haoyan, Jiang Taiyu, and the rest also made their moves. They burst out together and attacked the 3-headed demon snake one after another. Clang! First, the 9 arrows were slapped away by the 3-headed demon flood dragon's claw. The huge claw continued to strike forward. Bang! Bang! Wan Fengyun, Wang Haoyan, and the others were all sent flying like cannonballs, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. With just one move, Wan Fengyun and the others were all injured. They looked at Long Qianli in shock. You want to fight with me? You're overestimating yourself. The 3-headed demon flood dragon spoke in the human language before rapidly shrinking. In the next moment, it had returned to Long Qianli's appearance and was looking at Wan Fengyun and the others with a ferocious expression. Crushing, completely crushing. The surrounding spectators were all extremely shocked. Is this the power of a divine bloodline? The fusion of bloodlines is indeed powerful. Lu Ming's eyes glimmered. Long Qianli's cultivation should be at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier. Although he was higher than Wan Fengyun and the others, it was difficult for ordinary heaven's favorites to completely suppress him. However, Long Qianli completely suppressed him. Moreover, no one knew how much strength he had used just now. As one's cultivation level increased, the power of the bloodline fusion would become even stronger. Do you all still want to continue fighting? Long Qianli's gaze swept across Wan Fengyun and the others, causing their expressions to change. Long Qianli, the God-grade geniuses of our 3 families aren't here today. Otherwise, we wouldn't be afraid of you. Luan Fengyun said through gritted teeth. Nonsense. Now, get lost. Long Qianli said. Long Qianli, you can take away Lan Jin's inheritor, but the others are ours. Wang Haoyan said. He still had not given up on the token on Lu Ming. Long Qianli frowned. He swept his gaze across Lu Ming and the rest before finally landing on Ruan Tingting. He said, "You're Blue Gold Knight's inheritor, right? Come with us." "No." Lu Ming took a step forward and his voice was clear. "You want to stop me?" Long Qianli's eyes turned cold. "She's my friend. If you want to take her away and extract the inheritance from her soul, you'll have to get through me first." Lu Ming's gaze was extremely determined. Haha. Unexpectedly, Long Qianli burst into laughter and said, "So that's what you're worried about? You don't have to worry about that. Do you think we're as disgusting as the 6 great ancient families? We'll bring her back, but we won't strip her of her inheritance. Instead, we'll nurture her and let her grow." "Oh, how can I trust you?" Lu Ming said. "This point is very simple." Chapter 797. 797 Setting up an array and fishing. "Thank you very much." Lu Ming took it and said. "No need to be polite, let's go." Long Qianli smiled and left with the Imperial Guards and Ruan Tingting. "Fatty, stop looking. He's gone far." Lu Ming patted Kong Jin's shoulder when he saw that he was still staring in the direction where Ruan Tingting had left. "I didn't expect that you, Fatty, would be so loyal." Xian Yanqing pouted. "Of course, don't you know who I am?" A lamb leg had appeared in Kong Jin's hand, and he began to gnaw on it. "Didn't you want me to introduce Shao Qing's sister to you?" Lu Ming whispered to the fatty. Fatty's body immediately straightened, and his eyes shone brightly. "Of course, I have to introduce her. Tingting is Tingting, but Miss Shao Qing's sister is her sister. They're different. Shameless. The 2 of them are shameless, jackals of the same tribe." Xian Yanqing chided and glared at Lu Ming. Fatty chuckled and asked while gnawing on the leg of lamb, "Lu Ming, where are we going now? I definitely can't go to the 100 venerated mountains. Let's go to the blood pool first and save Brother Jian." "Little Qing, Fatty, you guys didn't take part in the Tower of 100 Talents assessment, did you?" Lu Ming said. "The Tower of 100 Supremes." Xian Yanqing and Fatty were both confused. "If you pass the test of the Tower of 100 Supremes, you will be able to obtain a token that will lead you to a higher cultivation Holy Land. With your talents, it will not be a problem for you to pass the test. We will return to the 100 Supremes mountain first. After you have obtained the token, we will go to the blood pool together." Lu Ming said. Not only could the blood pool heal Jian Filiu, but they could also accumulate the power of their bloodline in preparation for awakening a 3rd bloodline. "Go back to the 100 venerated mountains? Do you want to go back in disguise?" Xian Yanqing said. Lu Ming nodded. "Lu Ming, you guys should stop chatting. You're in danger." Dandan suddenly said. The few of them were shocked. "Dandan, what's going on?" Lu Ming asked. "As soon as you left the 100 venerated mountains, you were targeted. I guess it won't be long before some experts come to kill you." Dandan said. Lu Ming frowned. Dandan's senses were very strong. He should be right. Who was that? They had been targeted as soon as they left the 100 venerated mountains. Could it be that they were from the Wang clan or the Luan clan? "Let's go," Lu Ming said. Then they flew toward a vast mountain. Not long after, they landed in a valley. Lu Ming began to inscribe runes in the valley. The runes sank into the ground one after another. A few minutes later, a light screen flashed and enveloped them inside. Following that, Lu Ming inscribed an array that concealed their auras for himself, Xian Yanqing, and Fatty to completely conceal their auras. This is an illusory formation. From the outside, we can't be seen at all. We can only see a pile of rubble. I'd like to see who wants to deal with us," Lu Ming said coldly. Not long after, there was a whistling sound and at least a dozen figures flew over. These people were dressed in black robes and looked rather old. They were definitely not young. They stopped above the valley and looked around. They should be coming this way. What's going on? This time we can't let them get away. They have to die for killing our Shangguan clan's chosen warrior. Also, the elders have instructed us to do it discreetly. We can't let anyone find out. We'll do it secretly. An old voice filled with cold killing intent could be heard. After that, the dozen of them split into several groups and chased in different directions. So, it's the Shangguan family. There was a flash of killing intent in Lu Ming's eyes. At first, he inscribed a few illusionary formations that covered the entire valley. Then, he began to inscribe killing formations. This time, Lu Ming spent a day to inscribe Tulavir level 6 formations in the valley. Among them, the sword-whistling thunder formation was the main one. With the current strength of my mental energy fire, I'm still unable to completely inscribe the sword-howling thunder formation. However, those people from the Shangguan clan have the highest cultivation, which should be at the 7th level of the spiritual ocean realm. It's enough to kill a 7th level spiritual ocean realm expert. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Let's get them to come over now. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming dispelled the array that concealed their aura and the illusory array that enveloped them. The three of them were instantly exposed in the valley. After that, the three of them sat down cross-legged in the valley and began to cultivate. Powerful auras burst out without any concealment. Tens of thousands of miles away, a few black-robed men were flying. What's going on? We've been searching for so long, but we still haven't found those little brats. Where did they go? Could it be that they've already left this place? Someone growled. Hold your horses. According to the aura detected by the formation plate, they should be in this area. Let's continue our search. The leader of the group said in an old voice. At this moment, the leading old man suddenly stopped. There's a reaction. The old man was holding an array disc in his hand. At this moment, there was a spot glowing on the array disc. Gather the others. The leading old man said. Soon, more than a dozen people gathered from all directions. They flew in the direction of Lu Ming and the others at top speed. Not long after, they appeared above the valley where Lu Ming and the others were. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin suddenly opened their eyes. They seemed to be surprised and stood up one after another. Everyone, what's the matter? Lu Ming asked insincerely. I'm here to kill you. The old man in the lead said. Kill us? Who are you people? Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin also pretended that their expressions had changed. Hee, you don't have to ask about this. Go to hell and find out. You guys, go and kill them. The old man waved his hand and the three black-robed men charged down. Their auras exploded and they launched a frenzied attack on Lu Ming and the other two. However, the three of them didn't activate their bloodlines as if they didn't want to expose their identities. The three of them were all at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier, and their combat strength was extremely terrifying. That old man is really cautious. Lu Ming had a thought. It was obvious that the old man in the lead had sent out 3 people to test the waters. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin stood together. They did not seek to achieve any merits, but they did not want to make any mistakes. They resisted with all their might. Now was not the time to activate the big array. What Lu Ming wanted was to wipe them all out. With the 3 of them working together and cooperating with each other, 3 experts at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier couldn't break through their defense at all. The 6 of them were locked in a battle. These people have a lot of top-grade spiritual crystals. Let's find a place to cultivate. Lu Ming said. He grabbed the storage rings of the 15 people and devoured their blood essence. The blood essence of these 15 people was too strong. He had a feeling that he couldn't control it, and he urgently needed to find a place to cultivate. Lu Ming waved his hand and flames appeared, burning the 15 corpses into ashes. Then, the 3 of them left the place and flew into the distance. After 200,000 miles, they found a hidden cave and walked in. Take a look at these storage rings. I'm going to start cultivating. With that, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and focused on refining the blood essence. Previously, in the great battle with the Wang, Jiang, and Luan families at the 100 Venerated Mountain, he had killed 6 experts at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier and refined their blood essence. Lu Ming could feel that the prison-suppressing steel bloodline was getting closer and closer to advancing. It was as if he could already see the level of the divine bloodline. While Lu Ming was refining the blood essence with all his might, Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were also cultivating. 15 martial artists, the lowest at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier, and 5 at the 7th level. The power of blood essence was too strong. It was constantly refined and gushed into the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. This time, the refinement took 3 days. Buzz! Above Lu Ming's head, the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline started to shake crazily. The 9 Esilavir chakra glowed with a dazzling light like 9 Esilavir suns. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin both opened their eyes and looked at Lu Ming. Suddenly, their eyes widened and their mouths opened wide. Xian Yanqing's mouth was wide open enough to swallow a large lamb leg. The 9 Esilavir chakras on the prison-suppressing steel were slowly gathering towards the bottom. At first, 2 chakras merged together, then 3 chakras merged together. In the end, the 9 Esilavir chakras merged together. When they did, they emitted a golden light instead of a Esilavir light. At the same time, the size of the prison-suppressing steel also expanded rapidly, becoming more majestic and tall. On it, there was a primitive, ancient, and heavy aura, as if it had come from the ancient times, crossing time and space, giving people a strong pressure. The clouds and mist above it had also become lighter, allowing people to see the lines on the prison-suppressing steel more clearly. A golden chakra was circling the prison-suppressing steel. The divine bloodline has been upgraded to the divine bloodline. Kong Jin looked on in a daze, dumbfounded. Xian Yanqing was still fine because she had long known that Lu Ming's blood meridian would level up. Although she was shocked, she did not lose her composure. Finally, I've upgraded to a divine bloodline. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. There was a strange feeling in his heart. He felt that he could turn into a prison-suppressing steel at any time and suppress all his enemies. Thinking of this, he couldn't wait any longer. Suddenly, he felt that he had turned into a light and entered the prison-suppressing steel. At this moment, the aura of the prison-suppressing steel grew. An even more wonderful feeling was born. Lu Ming felt as if he was a prison-suppressing steel. Prison-suppressing heaven art. Lu Ming felt that he could still cast the prison-suppressing heaven technique even if he transformed into the prison-suppressing steel. Moreover, its power was much stronger than his. Buzz! In the next moment, the prison-suppressing steel shrunk and finally turned into Lu Ming's figure on the ground. Lu Ming, your blood meridian can actually be upgraded. Amazing, amazing! Kong Jin's fat body seemed to be weightless. He appeared beside Lu Ming in a flash. His small eyes widened to the maximum. He circled Lu Ming and swept his gaze around. Chapter 799. 799 Meeting Wang Haotian again. Fatty, this is a secret technique that I comprehended from my bloodline. It can devour blood essence and increase the grade of my bloodline. Lu Ming said. Fatty's empty character was naturally unspeakable. For Wan Tingting, he was willing to risk his life and fight against the chaotic family. At the same time, in order not to implicate them, he didn't send them any voice transmissions at the beginning. They could be said to have experienced life and death battles. Lu Ming naturally trusted him. Moreover, if they were to travel together more often in the future, the matter of his blood meridian would naturally not be kept a secret. Therefore, Lu Ming did not hide the fact that his blood meridian had leveled up. Of course, he also didn't mention the bloodline of the 9 dragons, only the secret skill in the bloodline. Bloodline secret skill. Amazing! Amazing! Why don't I have such an amazing secret skill? The fatty pulled a long face and suddenly reached out his hand, fumbling all over Lu Ming's body. "Hey, fatty, what are you doing? I don't have that kind of fetish." Lu Ming retreated and said, "Let me take a look, let me study it." Fatty's small eyes glowed. Lu Ming directly kicked the fatty, causing him to fall flat on his face. "Fatty, this is the secret of my bloodline. You can't tell anyone," Lu Ming urged. "I know, let me study it." Fatty still didn't give up. "Get lost." This time, it was not Lu Ming who spoke. It was Xian Yanqing. She glared at the fatty with an unfriendly gaze, a lotus flower dancing in the air between her fingers. Fatty immediately became obedient and muttered, "You only care about your own man. You even hit your friends. I'm so miserable." Xian Yanqing's eyes twitched and his face turned red. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing with a smile and said, "Your cultivation broke through to the 3rd level of the spiritual ocean tier." He realized that Xian Yanqing and Fatty had made a breakthrough in the past few days. He had been refining the blood essence with all his might, but he had also sensed something along the way. "Yes, that's right." Xian Yanqing nodded. "It's useless even if I break through. I can't beat a freak like you. You actually upgraded to a divine bloodline. Once the bloodlines merge, there's no point in fighting." Fatty muttered. "Then all of you should also awaken your 3rd bloodline as soon as possible. Let's go, we will return to the 100 Venerated Mountain now. All of you will go to the 100 Venerated Tower and obtain the token. After that, we will go to the blood pool together." Lu Ming said. Of course, they would not go back like this. Instead, they changed their appearances. At their level, it was easy to change their appearance and figure. They only needed to control their muscles and bones. The main thing was the aura. No matter how the appearance of the bone armor changed, the aura would not change. However, this was simple. Lu Ming immediately inscribed an array to conceal their aura on the 3 of them and concealed all their auras. Since he couldn't change it, he just had to restrain himself. The 3 of them changed their appearance and body shape, changed their clothes, and flew toward the 100 Venerated Mountain. Half a day later, they returned to the 100 Supremes Mountain and headed straight for the 100 Supremes Pagoda. There were still a few people watching at the bottom of the tower. At this moment, someone was challenging the tower. However, the highest level was only the 6th level. Not long after, everyone failed. When the light on the 6th floor dimmed, Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin rushed into the Tower of 100 Talents. There were a few other people with him. Lu Ming was standing there and watching. He wasn't too worried. "Get lost!" Wang Haotian shouted and strode forward. The others quickly stepped back and gave Wang Haotian the best spot. However, Lu Ming stood still. "You're not retreating." Wang Haotian looked at Lu Ming coldly. Wang Haotian had been very unhappy these days. He brought Wang Kong and Jian Filiu with him, planning to get the token of a higher cultivation sanctuary from Lu Ming. In the end, not only did he not get the token, but Wang Kong died and he was injured. Because of this, he was even reprimanded by the elders in his family. In the past few days, he had healed his injuries and planned to challenge the Tower of 100 Supremes again, hoping to obtain a token. Now, when he told the others to get lost, there were actually still people who didn't retreat. Was he not giving him face? Wang Haotian was furious. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile as he looked at Wang Haotian coldly. His original plan was to go to the blood pool and save Jian Filiu. Then, he would go to other cultivation sanctuaries and cultivate for a while to improve his cultivation. After that, he would find an opportunity to kill Wang Haotian. However, he did not expect Wang Haotian to offer himself. Lu Ming did not mind taking action now. Seeing that Lu Ming dared to look at him like that, Wang Haotian's anger grew. "Brat, you're staring at me like that. There's no need for your eyes to exist anymore." Wang Haotian's body emitted a cold killing intent. At this moment, the Tower of 100 Supremes lit up one level after another. Soon, the 5th level lit up, and the next moment, the 6th level lit up as well. Lu Ming knew that it would not take long for Xian Yanqing and the rest to reach the 9th level. Since that was the case, he might as well get rid of Wang Haoyan. Wang Haoyan, I said I would kill you. Have you forgotten so quickly? The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up as he spoke coldly. Wang Haoyan's expression changed when he heard Lu Ming's voice. It's you, Lu Ming. The bone armor on Lu Ming's body moved. The next moment, he returned to his original appearance. Ha, it's really you, Lu Ming. I didn't expect you to dare to come back and show yourself in front of me. Good. This time, I'll see who can save you. Wang Haoyan was ecstatic. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that Lu Ming was still in the 100 venerated mountains. He thought that Lu Ming had left long ago and headed to other more advanced cultivation places. Moreover, Lu Ming did not have any companions by his side. This made him even happier. Why are you so happy? You weren't my match that day, so why would I need anyone to save you? Lu Ming sneered. That day, you only relied on your formation. Today, I won't give you a chance. Kill. With that, Wang Haoyan suddenly exploded. A scorching aura filled the air. He had used all his strength. He wanted to use violent attacks to completely suppress Lu Ming so that he would not have the chance to inscribe inscriptions. Why do I need inscriptions to deal with you? Lu Ming sneered and struck with his palm. Boom! The next moment, Wang Haoyan's body trembled. The flames on his body flickered. He retreated quickly and almost spat out blood. How could this be? How did your attack become so much stronger? Wang Haoyan shouted in disbelief. Chapter 800. 800 Killing Wang Haoyan. He had used all his strength but was pushed back by Lu Ming's palm. Lu Ming's cultivation was clearly only at the second level of the spiritual ocean tier. It was the same as a few days ago. Why did his attack suddenly increase so much? Lu Ming's palm seemed to have the power to suppress everything. It was extremely terrifying. I've said it before, I don't need inscriptions to kill you. Kill. Lu Ming's killing intent burst out. He took a big step forward and his palm was like a divine monument, slashing toward Wang Haoyan. The prison-suppressing heavenly technique would become stronger as the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel leveled up. The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline had reached the divine level, and the prison-suppressing heavenly technique's power was equivalent to the 6th stage of a demigod-level martial technique. Its power was more than 10 times stronger than before. Although Lu Ming's cultivation level had not changed, his combat strength had increased by a large margin. Wang Haoyan was shocked and furious. He used all his strength to block the attack, but he was still completely suppressed by Lu Ming. He was forced to retreat and cough up blood. Below the tower, the other people were even more dumbfounded. A few days ago, Lu Ming had stopped the 9 geniuses of the 3 aristocratic families almost by himself, shocking the 100 Venerates mountain. They did not expect that the person who was standing beside them just now was Lu Ming. And now, Lu Ming had exploded with terrifying combat strength. He did not use the Tao of inscription. He suppressed Wang Haoyan with pure combat strength, leaving Wang Haoyan unable to fight back. How did Lu Ming's combat strength increase so much in just a few days? Bang! Lu Ming struck out with his palm. Wang Haoyan's arm cracked and his bone armor was broken. He spat out blood and was sent flying. He was no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming, just you wait. Wang Haoyan roared and turned to run. Lu Ming sneered and gave chase. After 1,000 miles, Lu Ming suddenly accelerated and stood in front of Wang Haoyan. There's no one here now, just in time to kill you. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. You want to kill me? Although your combat strength is stronger than mine, you want to kill me? Dream on. Wang Haoyan shouted. Is that so? The sneer at the corner of Lu Ming's mouth became even more intense. The next moment, buzz! The prison-suppressing steel appeared above Lu Ming's head. The dazzling golden light almost blinded Wang Haoyan. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he roared in disbelief, "Divine bloodline! You've awakened a divine bloodline." His voice was filled with shock, jealousy, hatred, and fear. He was determined to use the token to go to the blood pool, accumulate the power of his bloodline, awaken a divine bloodline, and become a divine-level genius. But now, Lu Ming was the first to succeed in his unfulfilled wish. How could he not be jealous? He was also terrified because he knew how terrifying a divine bloodline was. Run! Without thinking, he turned around and fled. It's too late to escape now. Lu Ming's body turned into a ray of light and entered the prison-suppressing steel's blood meridian. Buzz! The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline trembled. It pierced through the space and pressed down on Wang Haotian like an ancient mountain. Wang Haotian had nowhere to run. He was terrified by the terrifying pressure. All his attacks and defenses were useless in front of the prison-suppressing steel. No, my sister will take revenge for me. Wang Haotian shouted, and then his voice stopped abruptly. Under the suppression of the prison-suppressing steel, Wang Haotian was torn into pieces and died on the spot. The prison-suppressing steel shrunk and turned back into Lu Ming. He waved his hand and put away Wang Haotian's storage ring, devouring his blood essence. Then, flames appeared and turned Wang Haotian's body into ashes. In a flash, Lu Ming left the place and returned to the Tower of 100 Supremes. Of course, he had already changed his form again. At this moment, the 8th floor of the Tower of 100 Supremes had already lit up. The few people at the bottom of the tower did not even notice his return. They just stared at the Tower of 100 Supremes in a daze. They were naturally shocked that someone had made it to the 8th level. The 9th floor has lit up. Someone suddenly exclaimed. It's really the 9th floor. Someone else has made it to the 9th floor. Is it one of the two? A woman and a fatty. The others have all come out. Only the two of them are left. Amazing. The others sighed. Lu Ming smiled faintly. In the Wang family, at the head of the Dragon's Vein, there was a chain of volcanoes that erupted all year round. Because this was the Dragon's Vein, the temperature of the flames here was frighteningly high, hundreds of times higher than ordinary volcanoes. Suddenly, an angry roar came from one of the volcanoes. The next moment, a firebird made of flames flew out of the volcano and turned into a beautiful woman. However, the woman's body exuded an extremely cold killing intent, and the hot flames seemed to be able to burn through the world. Haotian, who killed you? I will make your murderers suffer the most painful torture in the world. The woman spat out a cold and ruthless killing intent. She raised her hand. There was a jade tablet in her palm with the words, Wang Haotian, written on it. However, the jade tablet had already been torn into pieces. This was Wang Haotian's life token. If the life token was broken, it meant that he was dead. There were also other Wang family members cultivating in the volcano range. At this moment, a voice was heard. What happened? Wang Haotian is going crazy. I don't know. Did something happen to Wang Haotian? It's no small matter for a god-tier heaven's favorite to go crazy. This is not something we can interfere in. Soon the voice died down. Wang Haotian's figure disappeared in a flash and soon appeared in Wang Haotian's courtyard. After a while, Wang Haotian left Wang Haotian's courtyard and flew toward the 100 Venerated Mountain. 100 Venerates Mountain, 100 Venerates Pagoda. Lu Ming looked up at the 9th level. Suddenly, all the lights on the 9th floor dimmed and disappeared. Not long after, the Tower of 100 Supremes glowed. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin appeared in the air at the same time and descended. The other people's gazes fell on them in unison. How is it? Lu Ming asked. If I take action, there will naturally be no problem. Kong Jin grinned. Xian Yanqing also nodded. It was obvious that both of them had obtained tokens. All right, let's leave this place immediately. We'll leave the 100 Venerated Mountains, Lu Ming said. From the beginning, he didn't know why, but he had a bad feeling in his heart, as if a crisis was coming. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin nodded. The three of them turned into 3 rays of light and left the place. They headed towards the exit at top speed. Soon, they exited the exit and flew towards the west. Their destination was the blood pool. Not long after they left, Wang Haotian arrived and rushed into the 100 Venerated Mountain. God-tier prodigy Wang Haoxian. Why is she here? One of the old men guarding the entrance asked in bewilderment. At the foot of the tower, a few young men were still in shock. They were shocked that two people had actually made it to the 9th floor. They were guessing if the two of them had obtained the token. What was his identity? It was actually so powerful. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying pressure descended. The cold killing intent mixed with the hot aura and pressed down on their bodies. Their bodies trembled, and they knelt on the ground. Wang Haoxian's eyes were cold and his killing intent was as cold as ice as he stepped through the air. Chapter 801. 801 The Blood Pool. God-tier prodigy, Wang Haoxian. Someone recognized Wang Haoxian and shouted in fear. The others were even more shocked. The 100 Venoms Mountain was just an ordinary cultivation sanctuary. If God-level prodigies had better places to cultivate, they would not come here at all. Why did Wang Haoxian suddenly come here? They thought of Wang Haotian. Wang Haoxian was Wang Haotian's sister. Earlier, they saw Lu Ming chasing after Wang Haotian. After that, Lu Ming changed his appearance and returned to the same place, leaving with two other people who had passed the 9th level. Could something have happened to Wang Haotian? Otherwise, why would Wang Haoxian come with such murderous intent? Lu Ming. Suddenly, they remembered who the other two people were. Lu Ming had a few companions. One of them was a beautiful woman while the other was a fatty. They were all people with terrifying talents. Then it was not difficult to guess the two people who had passed the 9th level. Tell me, has my brother Wang Haotian been here before? Who did he have a conflict with? Don't try to lie to me. Wang Haoxian said coldly. The killing intent around him grew stronger and stronger. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Someone shouted. Previously, Wang Haotian came here and had a big fight with Lu Ming. In the end, Lu Ming chased after him and he fled this place. No one knows where he went. The other person also shouted. Lu Ming? Who is Lu Ming? What did he look like? Tell me the details. Wang Haoxian said coldly. I said that they came here to obtain the token of a higher holy land. He has two companions. One is beautiful woman and the other is fatty who carries a battle axe. A young man immediately told him everything he knew. You dare to kill my brother? No one can save you. If you want to go to a high-rank holy land to cultivate, I will kill you on the way. Wang Haoxian's figure disappeared as he spoke coldly. The young men heaved a long sigh of relief. The pressure was too great to be beside Wang Haoxian, as if they could be killed by her at any moment. Lu Ming really killed Wang Haotian. That's a big deal. No wonder Wang Haoxian went crazy. This is getting interesting. After that, the few young men left. The news that Lu Ming might have killed Wang Haotian and that Wang Haoxian was after Lu Ming had spread and caused a huge uproar in the 100 venerated mountains. 9 Dragon City's outer ring was surrounded by 9 dragon veins, and in the middle, 3 dragon veins were gathered. They were all very far apart from each other. In these areas, there were many wondrous places. There were cultivation sanctuaries, secret realms, and dangerous forbidden areas. The blood pool was located in the vast area between the dragon's vein in the east and the 3 dragons' veins in the middle. The 3 of them flew for a few hours and arrived at a vast mountain. According to the jade talisman given by Long Qianli, the blood pool should be right in front. Lu Ming said. The 3 of them continued to fly forward until a large mountain appeared in front of them. There was a blood-colored aura on the mountain, and on the cliff, there were 3 big words, the blood pool. Beside the words, there was a platform protruding from the cliff. Behind the platform was a cave. On the platform, there were powerhouses guarding. This was the blood pool. Stop. Only those who are qualified can enter the blood pool. When Lu Ming and the other 2 neared, a burly man took a step forward, exuding a terrifying aura. This was definitely an expert above the spirit embryo realm. Senior, we have a token. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin flashed their tokens. The middle-aged man looked around and nodded. It is indeed a token. All of you are qualified to enter the blood pool. However, You have to leave your aura here first. Because everyone can only enter the blood pool once. Lu Ming and the rest nodded. Long Qianli's jade talisman had introduced this rule. Some high-level cultivation holy lands had very strict restrictions. Everyone could only enter the blood pool once and leave their aura here. If they came again in the future, they would be able to detect it. The three of them left their auras on one of the stone tablets. You guys go in. Remember, do what you can and don't die in there. You only have half a month. Chapter 802. 802 Chapter 802 Mutation. I wonder if Brother Jian can withstand it. Lu Ming pondered and decided to let Jian Filiu out to absorb the power of the blood meridian again to recover. With a wave of his hand, Jian Filiu's figure appeared, floating in the air. Brother Jian's bloodline won't actively absorb the surrounding bloodline power. After a while, Lu Ming realized that Jian Filiu's spine did not absorb the power of the blood meridian. Let me give him a hand. Lu Ming circulated his essential core and controlled the power of the blood meridian. It surged into Jian Filiu's neck. However, the power of the blood meridian dissipated very quickly and was not absorbed. How could this be? Could it be that Brother Jian is on the verge of death and has lost his consciousness, so he can't absorb the power of the bloodline? What should we do? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anxiety. If he couldn't absorb the power of bloodline, how could he save Jian Filiu? Lu Ming, let me do it. I have a way to let the power of the blood meridian flow into his neck. Although it's a little slow, it's more or less useful. Dandan appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder and said, Really? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Nonsense, the things that this lord knows are not things that you can imagine. When this lord fully recovers, don't cry and ask this lord to be your master. Dandan said proudly. After that, Dandan flew in front of Jian Filiu and waved its claws. Runes entered Jian Filiu's body. Then, it waved its claws and the surrounding bloodline power was drawn into Jian Filiu's spine, slowly seeping in. It was really useful. Lu Ming was relieved. What is it? Get lost. Just as Lu Ming was about to absorb the power of the blood meridian in peace, Dandan suddenly let out a loud, angry cry. What's going on? Lu Ming was shocked. Lu Ming, something is invading Jian Filiu's body. I can sense it but I can't stop it. Dandan shouted. What? There's something. What's in the blood pool? Lu Ming was shocked. My cultivation has been crippled and my bloodline has been exhausted. I'll have to start all over again. I'll break and rebuild. A burst of laughter suddenly came from Jian Filiu's body. It was full of excitement. Lu Ming was shocked and shouted, Who are you? Hurry up and get out of Brother Jian's body. Who am I? It's just a wisp of a remnant soul. It should have sunk into eternal oblivion, but it was awakened by this kid. Jian Feifu's voice came out of his body again, and at the same time, a blood-red light spread out. Remnant soul? You want to take over my body? Lu Ming was shocked. At this moment, Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin also arrived at top speed. Lu Ming, what's going on? Xian Yanqing asked. There's a soul fragment here that wants to possess Brother Jian. Lu Ming said. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were both shocked. Haha, possession? Little guy, you really think too highly of me. I only have a wisp of my soul left and can turn into dust at any time, so how can I possess you? It's just that this little guy is suitable to inherit my legacy. The sound of Jian Feilu's body rang out. How can I believe your words? Lu Ming's eyes were cold. Little fellow, even if you don't believe it, you have to believe it. Ha! As he laughed, Jian Filiu's body was covered with blood light and he suddenly fell down rapidly. Stop! Lu Ming was shocked and chased down. However, the resistance in the blood pool was very strong. Lu Ming's speed was far from Jian Filiu's speed. Lu Ming chased for 2,000 meters but Jian Filiu's body was getting further and further down. Kill, kill! Endless killing intent surged from all directions. Lu Ming's face turned pale. The further down he went, the more intense the murderous aura and killing intent became. Chapter 803. 803. The terrifying Wang Haoxian. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were the same. Their third bloodline didn't awaken. The power of his bloodline had clearly accumulated to a great extent, but it had yet to awaken. Lu Ming glanced at the blood pool and sighed softly. Then he strode out. There was still no news of Jian Filiu. It was as if he had sunk into the endless depths of the blood pool. The three of them walked out of the cave and flew toward the center of 9 dragons. Their next step was to go to another high-level cultivation holy land, the Heaven Vault Relic. It was said that there were many god-grade geniuses cultivating there. The moment the three of them walked out of the cave, a figure soared into the sky tens of miles away, chasing after Lu Ming and the rest. After flying for a few hundred miles, Lu Ming and the other two suddenly stopped in their tracks. This was because they realized that there was a cold, killing intent behind them that was spreading toward them. Buzz! A ray of purple light streaked through the air and appeared in front of them. She was a beautiful woman, but her eyes were cold, and the killing intent on her body was cold. The Wang clan. Lu Ming frowned. You are Lu Ming? Wang Haoxian's gaze fell on Lu Ming. Not bad. Lu Ming said. His brows furrowed even more tightly because he could sense an extremely dangerous aura from this lady. Very good. Did you kill my brother, Wang Haoyan? Wang Haoxian said coldly. Wang Haoyan is your brother? Lu Ming said. He suddenly remembered that before Wang Haoyan died, he had shouted that his sister would avenge him. Speak, did you kill him? Wang Haoxian shouted, his killing intent even colder. I say, beautiful lady, if we kill him, then we kill him. Your brother deserves to be killed. If you want to avenge him, we'll take you on. Kong Jin shouted. Good, very good. The three of you will be buried with my brother. Terrifying flames rose from Wang Haoxian's body and a powerful aura burst out. Kill. Wang Haoxian was extremely violent. He threw a punch at Lu Ming, and a fiery fist radiance was blasted towards him. A vacuum tunnel was created in the sky. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. This punch gave him a lot of pressure. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming used all his strength and activated the prison-suppressing heaven technique, throwing a punch as well. Boom! A deafening explosion rang out. Lu Ming felt an unparalleled force surging forward. He retreated rapidly and spat out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, there was a terrifying flame burning on his fist, and a burning smell came out. Lu Ming released 4 types of concepts and essential core to resist the burning of the flames with all his might. So strong. Lu Ming was shocked. Given Lu Ming's current combat strength, he was actually injured by the other party in one move. The other party's combat strength was extremely terrifying. The peak of the 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm. This was the cultivation that Wang Haoxian had revealed. However, Lu Ming firmly believed that an average 5th-level spiritual ocean tier prodigy would not have such powerful combat strength that could completely crush him. Die! Wang Haoxian's eyes were cold as he continued to charge at Lu Ming. Don't even think about it. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin made their moves at the same time. Xian Yanqing pressed his hands together and the Sky Demon Force field exploded. The destructive cutting force rushed towards Wang Haoxian. Kong Jin rushed into the Sky Demon Power field with his axe. His axe seemed to be able to split the sky, and he swung it at Wang Haoxian. Be careful! Lu Ming exclaimed in shock. Wang Haoxian didn't even look at it. He threw a punch at the incoming axe. Clang! The fist slammed into the battle axe, and a massive sound like that of a bell rang out. Fatty let out a miserable shriek as he was sent flying backward. His fat began to tremble, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock. Boom! Then, Wang Haoxian's body trembled and purple flames spread out. Xian Yanqing's destructive cutting power was directly burned. That's right, even the destructive cutting power was burned clean. Then, he threw a punch at Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing's expression changed. Lu Ming's only advantage was that he had cultivated the secret skill of the Super Spirit Sea and had rich vital essence. His mastery of the divine level technique was also stronger than Wang Haoxian's. In addition, his intent was slightly stronger. All these could make up for the difference of one level of cultivation. However, Wang Haoxian's cultivation was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming's. Therefore, there was still a gap of 2 levels between Lu Ming and Wang Haoxian. As for Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin, they hadn't awakened a divine bloodline, so the gap between them was even greater. His lifespan had been reduced by 50 years and his body was extremely weak. "You guys look?" Kong Jin suddenly exclaimed. Lu Ming and the others looked forward and saw that the purple flames that had been scattered by the thunder cauldron were now gathering in the air again. The next moment, the flames turned into Wang Haoxian's body. Wang Haoxian was actually still alive. He was still alive after being struck by the lightning cauldron. However, Wang Haoxian was also severely injured. He coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. His face was extremely pale and his breathing was extremely weak. Space stepped forward, holding a battle axe, and stared at Wang Haoxian. If he wanted to fight, he could only risk his life. However, Wang Haoxian only looked at them coldly and said in a cold voice, "I won't let you off." With that, he turned into a streak of fire and flew into the distance. They retreated. "Let's leave this place quickly and find a place to heal. Wang Haoxian won't let this go," Lu Ming said. He could see the murderous intent in Wang Haoxian's eyes. Wang Haoxian must have only retreated temporarily to find a place to heal. Once she recovered, she would definitely come back. Therefore, they had to find a place to recuperate. If Wang Haoxian's injuries were healed but they were not, it would be even more difficult. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin supported Lu Ming and flew into the distance. They landed thousands of miles away. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were also severely injured. If they continued to fly, they might not be able to last long, so they decided to recuperate here. In a cave, 3 people were sitting cross-legged. Lu Ming circulated the True Combat Strength Manual with all his might. Half a day later, he managed to cultivate a new wisp of essential core. With a wisp of essential core, Lu Ming could start devouring spirit crystals to quickly replenish his essential core. At the same time, Lu Ming also had to circulate his essential core to heal his injured body. Another half a day passed and Lu Ming had only recovered half of his essential core. His injuries had basically stabilized and he was no longer in any danger. However, he had lost 50 years of his lifespan and his life essence was severely depleted. This could not be replenished. At this moment, Lu Ming stopped his recovery. He stood up and walked out of the cave. There was no time left. A day had passed and Wang Haoxian could catch up at any time. He had to be prepared. Walking out of the cave, Lu Ming began to inscribe a large inscription array around him. One by one, the inscriptions were buried into the ground. Lu Ming spent half a day inscribing more than 10 major arrays. Lu Ming! Lu Ming! At this moment, Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin both walked out of the cave. Although they had not fully recovered, at least they were stable and had a certain level of combat strength. "We will wait for Wang Haoxian here," Lu Ming said. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at the sky in the distance. A flash of fire streaked across the sky. Wang Haoxian had arrived. He had come so quickly. Buzz! Wang Haoxian appeared above their heads. "You have my flame aura on you. If you don't get rid of it, don't even think about escaping from me." Wang Haoxian's killing intent intensified. For a prodigy like her whose cultivation level was far above Lu Ming and the others, it was a great humiliation for her to be able to injure Lu Ming. "You're just relying on your higher cultivation. Give me another half a year and I'll definitely kill you." Lu Ming sneered. Chapter 806. 806 The Immortal's Cave left behind by the 9 Suns Supreme. What is this place? Lu Ming's mind raced and he moved forward at top speed. Roar! Before he could fly far, a black tiger-shaped demonic beast rushed out from below and pounced at him. This tiger-like demonic beast was hairless, but it was covered in black scales. Its eyes were blood red, and it did not seem to have any intelligence. Instead, it was filled with ferocity. The wind howled as this tiger-shaped beast had the battle power of a peak-tier king. Lu Ming took a step forward, and a trace of energy burst out. The tiger-shaped demonic beast was directly blasted to the ground, and gravel flew everywhere. Lu Ming's speed did not slow down at all as he moved forward at top speed. Behind him, Wang Haoxian was in hot pursuit. However, in this forest, their speed had slowed down a lot. Moreover, there were ferocious demonic beasts pouncing on them from time to time, so they couldn't fly at full speed and their speed was even slower. Moreover, the deeper they flew, the higher the level of the ferocious demonic beasts that appeared. In the beginning, the demonic beasts that appeared were all peak king tier level demonic beasts. Towards the end, demonic beasts that were equivalent to first level or second level spiritual ocean tier appeared. These demonic beasts did not have the slightest bit of intelligence. They were filled with ferocity and would pounce on them the moment they saw them. The two of them, one chasing and one escaping, only flew tens of thousands of miles in half a day. This forest was boundless, and they were still in the forest. Wild Beast Forest. Lu Ming, you've come to the Wild Beast Forest? Suddenly, a voice rang out in Lu Ming's mind. This voice was not Dandan's, but the voice of the Nine Sons Supreme. Senior Jiuyang. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Ever since he met Lian Song in the underground world, the Supreme Master of the Nine Sons had woken up once. After that, he fell into a deep sleep again. He didn't expect that he would wake up now. Senior Jiuyang, is this place called the Wild Beast Forest? Lu Ming communicated telepathically with Nine Sons Supreme. You should have arrived in Nine Dragons by now, right? This must be the Wild Beast Forest. I left something here years ago, and it resonated with me. That's why I woke up from my deep sleep. The voice of the Nine Sons Supreme rang out in Lu Ming's mind. It seems that you're being hunted down. Being chased by a crazy woman. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. How about this? You can enter the Supreme Shrine and hide for a while. Supreme Nine Sons said. Enter the Supreme Shrine. Lu Ming was stunned. In the past, the Nine Sons Supreme Being had set restrictions in the Supreme Shrine, so that he could not enter the Supreme Shrine when he encountered danger. His purpose was to train him. But now, why did he take the initiative to let him enter the Supreme Shrine? As if sensing Lu Ming's doubts, the Nine Sons Supreme said, in the past, I only wanted to train you so that you wouldn't rely too much on the Supreme Shrine. If you were in danger, you would hide in the Supreme Shrine. This way, you would lose the courage to move forward and the opportunity to temper yourself through life and death. Your future achievements would be very limited. However, your cultivation is considered not bad now. Along the way, you have experienced many things and have been tempered many times. Your heart of martial arts is stable. Therefore, this restriction no longer has any meaning for you. In the future, you can enter the Supreme Shrine at any time, and others can also enter. Supreme Martial Artist Nine Sons explained. Lu Ming nodded, overjoyed. The Supreme Shrine had no restrictions, and he could bring others in. That would be of great use to him. Lu Ming, don't be happy too soon. The Supreme Shrine was my weapon back then. After you entered the Supreme Shrine, it only disappeared into the void, so no one else could see it. However, your current cultivation is not weak. The enemies you will encounter in the future will definitely be stronger. Those in the spirit embryo realm can already sense the void. Even if you hide in the Supreme Shrine, you will still be discovered and blasted out. As for the spiritual god realm, one can tear space at will. Setting up such a formation to protect the cave abode could be said to be foolproof. For example, if you set up a formation at the entrance of a cave, this formation would allow the cave to become one with the surrounding environment and look exactly the same. Ordinary people would only think that it was a mountain when they saw it. Even if they walked over, they would feel that it was a mountain. However, if you thought that this place was a cave, then you could walk over and enter the cave. It was extremely mysterious. Therefore, even if someone had come here over the years, they would not stare at a cliff and think that it was an immortal's cave. This was the entrance unless it was someone who knew about it. Moreover, the inscription formation that could see the real and the fake could perfectly integrate with the surrounding environment, making it difficult to sense the existence of inscriptions. Lu Ming smiled and strode towards the cliff. Just as he was about to crash into the cliff, he saw that the cliff was empty. Lu Ming's body had disappeared from the cliff. Lu Ming stepped in and found himself in a huge cave abode. The cave abode was rather large, but it was very simple and crude. There was only a stone bed, a stone table, and a few stone stools. On the table was a jade box, and in the jade box were a few storage rings. In the innermost part of the cave, there were 2 small trees. The small trees were as tall as a person, and their leaves were dark green, emitting a strange aura. On the small tree, there were a few fruits. The soul-consolidating tree has really borne fruit. The figure of the 9 Suns Supreme Master appeared. He looked at the 2 small trees and revealed a happy expression. Soul-concentrating tree? Lu Ming had some doubts. The soul-consolidating tree and the soul-consolidating fruit are very helpful to the spirit and soul. I found them by accident and planted them here. I didn't expect them to bear fruit. With these 2 soul-consolidating trees and soul-consolidating fruits, I can recover a portion of my soul power. Supreme Martial Artist 9 Suns explained. Congratulations, Senior. Lu Ming was overjoyed as well. He was also looking forward to the recovery of the 9 Suns Supreme. Lu Ming, I'll be recuperating under the soul-consolidating tree for a while. I think it'll take some time. There are some things I left here in those storage rings. Although there aren't any rare treasures, they should be useful to you. As soon as he finished speaking, he flew toward the 2 soul-condensing fruit trees, plucked one of the fruits, and sat down cross-legged. Lu Ming sized it up and walked to the stone table. He picked up one of the storage rings and immersed his mind into it. The next moment, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This storage ring was filled with spirit weapons and all sorts of blacksmithing materials. Among them, most of the spiritual weapons were at the 6th level. There were also 7th level and even 8th level spiritual weapons. Shocking, it was too shocking. It should be known that only those at the spirit embryo realm could unleash the full power of a 7th level spiritual weapon. As for an 8th level spiritual weapon, it could only be unleashed by an existence at the spiritual god realm. And in this storage ring, not only did he have them, he had quite a few of them. And those materials for refining weapons were also rare materials. If these spirit weapons and blacksmithing materials were to be taken out, their value would be immeasurable. Lu Ming kept it happily. Zhang Xian turned his attention to the 2nd storage ring. Chapter 808. 808 Scamming Wang Haoxian. The second one was filled with elixirs, spiritual herbs, and spiritual herbs of very high levels. There were level 6, level 7, and even level 8. They were all packed in jade boxes and sealed with arrays so that their spirituality would not be lost. Lu Ming almost drooled. Zhang Xian quickly turned his attention to the 3rd storage ring. There were a total of 3 storage rings here. The 3rd storage ring contained some miscellaneous items. Lu Ming's gaze was immediately attracted by the mountain-like pile of raw gemstones. Yes, raw stones were piled up like a mountain. No one knew how many pieces there were. And NBSP. Also, on the other side were many large metal boxes. When he opened them, he saw that they were all intent crystals. There were all sorts of profound meaning crystals, and they were all middle-grade ones. There were more than 100,000 pieces. More than 100,000 middle-grade intent crystals. What kind of concept was this? Lu Ming's heart was thumping. I'm rich, I'm really rich. As expected of the 9 Suns Cosmos Supremacy. The 9 Suns Supremacy had said that there were no treasures, but in Lu Ming's eyes, they were all treasures. How long would these resources be enough for Lu Ming? Senior Jiuyang, I will definitely make good use of these resources. Lu Ming thought to himself. Then he focused his mind on the storage ring that was filled with elixirs and spirit herbs and carefully examined it. This is the innate original liquid. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. He discovered that the two huge jade bottles contained the primordial origin liquid. Moreover, they were both high-grade primordial origin liquid. Each bottle was a full 50 kilograms. In total, there were 200 caddies of primordial origin liquid, which was the supreme spiritual liquid for cultivating the body. This is the mother of the water spirit spring. Lu Ming recognized a treasure in the other jade bottle. The mother of the water spirit spring was a type of spirit liquid. It was even more precious than the upper-grade innate original liquid. The mother of the water spirit spring is perfect for cultivating the path understanding ancient tree. With a thought, the path understanding ancient tree appeared on the ground. Lu Ming took out the mother of the water spirit spring and poured the entire bottle of it on the Xianhuang silicoid soil. Lu Ming was looking forward to it. With this bottle of mother of water spirit spring, would the path understanding ancient tree be able to grow? Then he put the path understanding ancient tree into the supreme shrine and started to look at it in his storage ring. Green lotus fruit, snake lump flower, dark een grass. Lu Ming looked at the spiritual herbs one by one. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. With a wave of his hand, a jade box appeared in his hand. It's actually dark een grass. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He thought of a medicine called dark een powder. He had learned about this medicine when he was refining the seven-colored Taoist's mental energy fire. The dark een powder was specifically used to deal with women. As long as a woman breathed in a little, she would be powerless and unable to circulate her true yuan, allowing her to be slaughtered. The main ingredient of the dark een powder was the dark een grass. Initially, Lu Ming had no interest in such a herb, but when he saw the dark een grass, he thought of Wang Haoxian. Didn't Wang Haoxian want to kill him? Then he would let her have a taste of the dark een grass. Immediately, Lu Ming selected a few supplementary ingredients and began to refine the dark een powder. 2 hours later, Lu Ming had successfully refined the dark een powder. Wang Haoxian, I hope you haven't left yet. A cold glint flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. He left the cave abode and appeared outside the cliff. Then he rose into the air. Now, he was going to take the initiative to look for Wang Haoxian. Lu Ming flew at high speed in the sky and circled the area. More than an hour later, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. In front of him, a flash of fire was approaching at high speed. It was Wang Haoxian. Lu Ming, I've finally found you. Wang Haoxian shrieked, his face twisted. She was clearly beautiful, but at this moment, there was no sense of beauty. Wang Haoxian, you've been chasing me for a few days, and you miss me so much? Why don't you forget about your brother and become my concubine? Lu Ming chuckled, deliberately provoking Wang Haoxian. You're looking for death. Wang Haoxian shouted angrily and rushed over at top speed. She did not think much about why Lu Ming did not run away. She was furious. I, Lu Ming, am a heaven-sent talent. I won't let you down if you become my concubine. Lu Ming continued to provoke Wang Haoxian. As expected, Wang Haoxian was even more furious. He pounced on Lu Ming and threw a punch at him. The flames were burning and it was terrifying. Lu Ming activated the prison-suppressing heavenly art and struck out with his palm. In his palm, a wisp of dark een powder spread towards Wang Haoxian. Bang! The fist and palm collided. Lu Ming's body trembled and he retreated rapidly. He felt his qi and blood churning, and he almost vomited blood. I hope it's useful. Lu Ming thought in his heart. Wang Haoxian was surrounded by raging flames that could burn everything. However, the dark een powder contained the qi of the netherworld and was extremely cold. It could possibly resist the burning of flames. Die! After Wang Haoxian pushed Lu Ming back with one punch, he threw another punch. Lu Ming swung his palm again, and there was still a trace of dark een powder in his palm. Wang Haoxian was so angry that he didn't notice it at all. Just like that, Lu Ming and Wang Haoxian exchanged 5 moves in a row. Lu Ming retreated 5,000 meters and spat out a mouthful of blood. This won't do. The dark Yin powder will probably take a while before it takes effect. Let's go. Lu Ming turned and ran. You want to run? Dream on. Wang Haoxian gave chase. The chase continued for a few thousand miles. Wang Haoxian, who was in pursuit, suddenly had a change in expression. His body trembled and he almost fell to the ground. It's working. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He stopped and turned around to look at Wang Haoxian with a cold smile. What did you do to me? Wang Haoxian glared at Lu Ming. Nothing much. It's just a little bit of poison. Right now, do you feel like your body is soft and you can't use your true qi? Lu Ming sneered. Despicable. Wang Haoxian's face turned pale. Despicable? Can I compare to your Wang clan in terms of despicability? Now, you're the one who's going to die. Lu Ming stepped forward and charged at Wang Haoxian. Wang Haoxian gritted his teeth and turned to run. Lu Ming gave chase. However, Wang Haoxian had been hit by the dark Yin powder, and it became more and more difficult for her to mobilize her vital essence. Her speed rapidly decreased, and slowly she could not even fly. She landed on the ground, trembling all over, and almost fell to the ground. Boom! Lu Ming landed as well. He took a step forward and threw a palm at Wang Haoxian. At this point, Wang Haoxian could no longer use his true energy. He could only use his will to resist. However, there was no vital essence, only the will, so the power was limited. Lu Ming destroyed Wang Haoxian's will with one palm. Wang Haoxian grunted and flew far away. He fell to the ground and spat out blood, his face pale. Kill! Lu Ming took a step forward, his killing intent surging. Wang Haoxian closed his eyes in despair. She did not expect that her revenge for Wang Haoyan would not only fail to kill Lu Ming, but she would also lose her life. However, she waited for a while and did not feel Lu Ming's palm landing on her. She could not help but open her eyes and saw Lu Ming sizing her up carefully, an evil glint flashing in his eyes from time to time. In her eyes, Lu Ming was shining with this kind of light. Is this how a servant should treat her master? Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and smiled. Wang Haoxian gritted his teeth and glared at Lu Ming with hatred. What do you want? Wang Haoxian said through gritted teeth. A servant girl should have the attitude of a servant girl. Otherwise, I'll make you warm my bed. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into an evil smile. Don't even think about it. Wang Haoxian's face was red with anger. He looked at her with his big eyes and finally gave in. He bowed slightly and said through gritted teeth, Young Master Lu Ming, young master, this servant will take her leave. It seemed to take all of Wang Haoxian's strength to say this. She panted slightly. Besides, you are not sincere enough. If you gnash your teeth like this, people who don't know you will think that you are going to eat me. They will think that there is some deep hatred between us. Speak properly and remember, your attitude must be sincere. You must treat me as a young master from the bottom of your heart, a young master that you respect, understand? Lu Ming started to give instructions. Wang Haoxian almost vomited blood. She was roaring in her heart. There was already a deep hatred between the two of us, all right? And sincere? How? If she was not controlled by the array, she would have chopped Lu Ming into 8 pieces. How could she be so sincere? Young Master Lu Ming, I'll take my leave. Wang Haoxian took a deep breath and spoke. His voice was softer than before. Forget it, it's just SOS. You should practice more in the future. Go. Lu Ming waved his hands in dissatisfaction. This made Wang Haoxian's body fluctuate again. She kept telling herself to endure. She must endure. Only by enduring would she have a chance to seek revenge on Lu Ming. After Wang Haoxian left, Lu Ming returned to his cave abode. Then, he opened the 7 jade bottles one by one. Of the 7 portions of blood essence, 5 were at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm, and 2 were at the 6th level. The bloodline of the 9 dragons opened its mouth and sucked, swallowing all 70% of the blood essence and starting to refine it. Now, Lu Ming had used all the power of blood essence to improve his 9 dragon bloodline. He would first upgrade his 9 dragon bloodline to the divine level. Once the 9 dragon bloodline upgraded to the divine level, he would have 2 divine level bloodlines, and his combat power would be even stronger. In less than a day, 70% of his blood essence had been refined. Clearly, this blood essence was still not enough to advance the 9 dragon bloodline to the divine bloodline. Senior Juyang will need some time to recover here. Little Qing and Fatty are not in danger now, so it's best for them to cultivate here. I'll just cultivate here. Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the ground, thinking about the direction of his cultivation. The 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps isn't far from the 5th step. There's also the 3 absolutes of the dragon god. I'll have to find time to integrate the earth will into it. This way, I'll have another way to fight my enemies. Of course, the most important thing is the comprehension of the will. Also, I can't neglect the Tao of inscription. At the thought of this, Lu Ming's fingers glowed and the infinite dragon spear appeared in his hands. Senior Juyang, you have a lot of precious metals here. You can use them to refine the infinite dragon spear. With a thought, a piece of metal appeared in his hand. This piece of metal was called star moon iron. On it, there were patterns that looked like stars. It was very beautiful. A blue mental energy fire appeared in Lu Ming's hands. It wrapped around the star moon iron and started burning. Not long after, the star moon iron softened and finally turned into a pool of liquid that wrapped around the infinite dragon spear. There was a green leaf on the black branch. It was dark green and crystal clear. There were mysterious patterns on it, as if it contained the universe's truth. Next to the dark green leaf, a second tender green leaf appeared. More than 10 days ago, Lu Ming had watered the Mother of Water Spirit spring on the Xianhuang silicotic soil. As expected, the Mother of Water Spirit spring was a rare treasure in the world. It successfully made the path understanding ancient tree grow its second leaf. Lu Ming closed his eyes and carefully pondered over it. After a while, he opened his eyes, which were filled with surprise. The second leaf of the path understanding ancient tree had indeed increased Lu Ming's speed of comprehension. In the past, it was equivalent to 10 times the normal state. Now it was 20 times. Yes, under the path understanding ancient tree, Lu Ming's state of comprehension was 20 times that of normal circumstances. Naturally, Lu Ming was overjoyed. In that case, his cultivation speed would increase again. The path understanding ancient tree was indeed a rare treasure in the world. In the ancient times, only the strongest had it. Immediately, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and quietly comprehended the essence realm of heaven and earth. Soon, another 7 days passed. Lu Ming went out to retrieve the demonic beast blood essence that Wang Haoxian had sent over. This time, there were 4 sets of 5th-level spiritual ocean tier demonic beast blood essence and 3 sets of 6th-level spiritual ocean tier demonic beast blood essence. After refining them, the 9 dragon bloodlines still did not advance. Just like that, Lu Ming refined the blood essence once every 7 days and spent the rest of his time on cultivation. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed since Lu Ming took control of Wang Haoxian. During this period of time, Lu Ming had made great progress in all aspects, especially the heaven and earth mentality, thunder mentality, and earth mentality. They had reached level 2 lower tier and were about to reach that level. At this time, the bloodline of the 9 dragons had finally reached its limit and was about to advance. This was the 4th time Lu Ming was refining the demonic beast blood essence that Wang Haoxian had given him. In the Supreme Shrine. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons roared into the sky. Its body twisted and rolled in the air, and its body was covered in light. As the 9 holes bloodline howled, its body began to grow longer and thicker. The scales on its body became more dazzling and crystal clear. A claw extended out from the abdomen of the 9 dragon bloodline. The 5th claw. 5 claws, a true dragon. A moment later, a 1,000-meter-long, wriggling true dragon with 5 claws under its belly appeared above Lu Ming's head. There was a golden chakra on the true dragon's body, shining with a dazzling light. The bloodline of the 9 dragons had finally advanced to the divine level and transformed into the body of a true dragon. Afterwards, the bloodline of the 9 dragons roared, and its aura soared into the sky. At this moment, in the depths of 9 dragons, where the 3 dragon veins converged, there was a palace. This palace was suspended in the air. It seemed to be in the depths of the void. It could be seen, but it could not be approached. In the deepest part of the palace, there was a figure sitting cross-legged in the void. It was a middle-aged man in his 50s. He wore a black battle robe and had a burly figure. He sat quietly with his eyes closed, but there seemed to be endless majesty exuding from his body. It was as if this man was a peerless overlord, a peerless emperor who could sweep across the universe and control countless creatures. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. At this moment, the whole world lit up and the surrounding space was instantly annihilated, as if it couldn't withstand the huge pressure and turned into a dark, chaotic space. The bloodline of the 9 dragons has finally appeared? It seems to have evil levered to the god rank. Jiang, you've put in a lot of effort to isolate the aura of the blood essence of the 9 dragons with a seal. Unfortunately, you've underestimated me. You can't see through my means. Even if there's a seal, I have my own way to detect it. The blood essence of the 9 dragons seems to be in 9 dragons. Chapter 8:12. 8:12 The top 10 war beasts. Jiang, you must have found a young heaven's favorite to be your successor, right? Do you want to take revenge on me? Hehe, how naive. Since you're in 9 dragons, I'll definitely find you. Let's leave this matter to the ancient families. The middle-aged man muttered. Then, his lips moved as if he was speaking. Not long after, 6 middle-aged men entered the place. Each of these 6 middle-aged men had an overbearing aura. It was obvious that they were in high positions and had the aura of an overlord. However, these 6 middle-aged men were very respectful in front of the man in black. Your Majesty, Force Emperor. The 6 middle-aged men bowed in greeting. Obviously, the black-robed middle-aged man was the ruler of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and one of the overlords of the Eastern Barren Land, Martial Emperor. The other 6 middle-aged men were the family heads of the 6 ancient families. Your Majesty, Force Emperor, may I know why you've called the 6 of us here? The head of the Dongfang family bowed and asked. During this period of time, pay close attention to the geniuses of 9 dragons, especially those who have awakened the true dragon bloodline. If there are any, bring them here. Martial Emperor D ordered. Yes. The heads of the 6 families bowed and accepted the order. Go! After Martial Emperor D gave the order, he closed his eyes again. The family heads of the 6 ancient families bowed and left. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons roared, and its aura was shocking. Buzz! Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and entered the 9 dragon bloodlines, fusing with them. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to have transformed into a true dragon with the power to destroy the world. After a while, the 9 dragons' bloodlines slowly shrank and turned into Lu Ming's appearance. I wonder if there are any other functions after the 9 dragons' bloodline is upgraded to a divine bloodline? The devouring power should be even stronger, right? Let's find an opportunity to give it a try. Lu Ming thought excitedly and sensed carefully. What? All of a sudden, he felt a strange power in his spine and the blood of the 9 dragons. This power gave off a terrifying feeling, and Lu Ming seemed to be able to draw this power out at any time. What kind of power is this? Let's go out and try. Lu Ming left the Supreme Shrine and appeared on a mountain peak thousands of miles away. With a single thought, Lu Ming drew out the power in the 9 dragon bloodline. This power was similar to true essence, but it was completely different. Lu Ming could feel that this energy was much stronger than the essential core. Roar! Once the energy was drawn out, it let out a shocking dragon's roar. Following that, the energy fused into Lu Ming's body. At that moment, Lu Ming's muscles swelled up and scales appeared on his skin. Dragon scales, these are dragon scales. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that his body was filled with endless power. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch. Wherever his fist passed, the air turned into liquid and then evaporated. The space was folded in front of Lu Ming's fist like a piece of paper. A terrifying fist force burst out. Boom! Boom! Wherever the fist force passed, 7 huge mountains were penetrated and exploded. Many demonic beasts roared crazily and flew far away. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. The power of one punch was so terrifying. This was just a casual punch from Lu Ming. What is this power? He's too strong. While Lu Ming was shocked, he was also excited. Dragon power, the power of a true dragon. Kid, this is the power of a true dragon. On his shoulder, Dandan shouted. Dragon power. Lu Ming was puzzled. Dragon power is a power that can only be mastered by a true dragon. It's extremely powerful and is many times more advanced than true essence. Lu Ming's lips curled into a satisfied smile. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.